in this video, we're going to be talking about new balance changes that are coming in Season 7 and their implications for the meta going forward. There's a lot, including buffs and nerfs to characters like Erisa, Zarya, Mei, Torb, Illari, and big changes to characters like Sombra and Roadhog, and more, so we're going to break it all down. But my question of the day is, if you could buff or nerf any character going into Season 7, who would it be and why? Let me know down below. Now, first off, we've been in Erisa meta for quite some time, and Erisa is getting her fortified damage reduction reverted or pulled back. Don't know exactly how much it's going to be right now, but we do know that her fortify was one of the reasons that she got pushed into the meta conversation in the first place. Now, depending on how much they reduce it, this is going to make Erisa a lot weaker, and it's going to allow for some of her counters to be played, especially when we compound it with some of the other nerfs that we're going to talk about in a second. Next up, Zarya ally bubble size and health is to be reduced, but the cooldown is not going to be changed. So she's still going to be stronger than she was before, but she's not going to be as capable of generating such high charge so quickly. And before, it was like, it was easier to get charge, and it was super impactful to bubble your team because you got it so fast. Now, it's going to be about the same, so you kind of got to pick and choose, and it's not as clear cut who you should bubble all the time. I still imagine that Zarya is going to be very powerful, and especially in underneath the Masters Elo, she's always been very, very strong, and I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon. Now, they're changing their mind again on Mei. Now, Mei will no longer deep freeze enemies, and it feels like they've just been changing this over and over again on Mei. Like, they have no idea what they want from Mei. I think this is an effort to make it so that tanking is more fun. And I'm going to be honest, I don't really think that Mei needs, like, big buffs or nerfs or anything like that. Like, with this is fine, and she can kind of stay relatively the same. But perhaps Mei, if she became too meta, would contribute to some unfun tank gameplay. So perhaps a bigger conversation about Mei's kit needs to be had in the future. Let me know down below how you feel about Mei and how do you feel about her kit. Next up, Torb primary fire recovery time will be reverted or pulled back. So we don't know by how much yet, but Torb will be quite a bit weaker than he was before. And even if the changes are rather severe, Torb will still be fine, but one of the problems with Torb right now, in combination with the other tanks that are really meta right now, is that he's really good at anti-dive, right? So it's really hard to capitalize on some of the weaknesses of characters like Zarya when you have a character that is so good at countering dive. And I also think the shield break nature of the character contributes to some really boring games and boring tank gameplay. So even though I don't have a personal problem with like Torb existing as a small sliver of the meta, I don't really think he should be like a staple or the best DPS in any meta. That's just a personal preference, but we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens to him after the changes. Next up, we do have Illari, where her secondary fire healing is going to be adjusted. So we're gonna have to wait and see exactly what happens here, but they say that Illari is on the good side of strong, so they're not gonna do some crazy changes to her because they think she's fairly balanced as is. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't really think that there's anything that wrong with the character right now. She's not the cause of this really unfun meta that we're in right now, and I would like to see us get away from the Erisa, Zarya, Torb, freaking Bastion meta and then move into something else, and then see how Illari plays in like a dive meta or something along those lines, and then perhaps you could adjust her then. But I don't really think it makes a lot of sense to change a character right now when she's existing in a meta that just doesn't really have that much to do with her. Even if she's good in ranked, yeah, she can click hedge, yeah, she can do burst damage and burst heals, but how is she going to exist in other metas? Then we could have like a bigger discussion about whether or not she needs to be buffed or nerfed or whatever the case may be. Now, the really interesting thing, though, is the Sombra and Hog changes that are actually finally coming in Season 7. It felt like they've been in the works for so long, but we got some insight into what they're going to be and exactly how they're going to change these characters or other characters for the foreseeable future. So first up is Sombra, and this is what they're going to be doing to her. Number one, they're going to make Sombra more committal when engaging. So you have to actually maybe fight someone for longer, or you're going to have to extend your stay a little bit more. Not entirely sure what this means, but it doesn't seem like you're going to be able to just zip out all the time from every single engagement. Next up, they're going to increase the active field throughout her kit, and then they're also going to uphold her current hacker identity and playstyle. So this is interesting because the idea that she's more active and more committal in a fight makes me think that she doesn't have the ability to teleport out of a fight. Like, how do you make someone more committal? Is it getting rid of her invis perma? Is it making it so she can't teleport from a very far distance? Is it actually just changing the teleport completely? Like, what are they really doing to this? I'm not entirely sure how they are going to be moving these things around. As we broke down previously, Sombra did get a new translocator like design. Like, it has a completely different design. So we're still getting a throwable thing that is probably her teleport, but it looks way different, which means it probably does something different. I have said multiple times that I think using it as something more similar to perhaps like Loba's teleport from Apex, but perhaps faster charging and you can move faster because Overwatch is just a faster moving game. So like you throw and teleport, something like that. So it's not like you get to just go away. You have to like fight somebody and then throw it and then fight somebody and then it will teleport you or something like along those lines. That's what I imagine, but we'll have to wait and see on that one for sure. It's just a speculation. Now, they did talk about Roadhog, and Roadhog is not quite done yet. It's going to be in the Season 7 mid-season patch, not in Season 7 start like Sombra is, but these are their goals for his rework. Number one, they're going to increase his ability to protect his team and claim space. They're going to maintain his overall identity and playstyle. They're going to move some of his power around so that his effectiveness isn't so tied to his one-shot potential. Now, we also know that his hook and his breather are remaining part of his kit, even if they're going to be far different than we know them. So they're going to be kind of new, but they're going to be the same type of ability. And we also know that Roadhog is going to be getting a new ability as well. So not only is he going to have his hook and the breather, but something else is perhaps going to be added to another keybind or something along those lines. Some other ability, maybe some other passive. I'm not entirely sure what it's going to look like. Now, a really interesting thing is his ability to protect his team and claim space. I have no idea how you would do that with a hook. Maybe a take a breather would create some type of toxic gas. That's kind of what a lot of people think should happen, where if enemies are in it, they're taking damage, but teammates are not affected. So he could breathe in a certain area and it forces enemies back, right? That could take space, claim space. It also could detriment a dive, right? If there's like some toxic little cloud around Roadhog in a pretty large radius, all of a sudden, if a dive goes in, it helps his team protect, that space. Maybe it even heals his team a little bit. I'm not sure. Maybe that'd be way too overpowered. I have no idea. They say they're going to maintain his overall identity and playstyle, which is strange because what even is his playstyle, right? Like right now, his playstyle is like try to get people out of position, hook them and kill them. And it's just like a worse version than his old playstyle, which was to hook people and kill them. So like, what is his playstyle? Like, I don't even understand. The protect his team, claim space thing, that's not even in his playstyle. Like, that's never really been a part of his playstyle. His playstyle has been like a fat DPS. Like, that's really his playstyle. His playstyle is to go kill. Sometimes it's been hook the Erisa pull back in Overwatch 1, but it's never been protect his team, and it's never been claim space. So I have no idea how you're going to maintain his identity while still increasing those things. I don't really understand. Now, when they said they're going to move some of his power around so his effectiveness isn't as tied to his one-shot potential, this is 100% what I've been saying about every one-shot character. You get rid of their one-shot and then you compensate it in some other ways. But this makes me think that the current state of Hog, they think that his power is in his one-shot, where it kind of is, but it's just so inconsistent that it's pretty weak. That's why he's so bad. But moving it around means that they're probably going to reduce the damage he does even more so. Because now you can technically still one-shot certain characters if you do damage pre, and if you do it like perfectly under the right situation, yeah, you can one-shot some characters. So I imagine maybe his new hook is going to not ever have the capability of one-shotting, like super reduced damage. Maybe it's just to displace people, but it's really interesting the direction they're going with him, and I'm really curious to see how he fully ends up, because it will give us a better idea about further reworks down the line. But definitely let me know how you feel about all the changes coming, the Sombra and Hog reworks. And are there any other changes that you want to be included in Season 7? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for coming by, and I'll see you next time.